My dreams are nightmares. How can I sleep? You got the gun against me.
What's going on, everybody? KingofDragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Q9-0. And so here we have Zero posing out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at his accessories. Zero only comes with one accessory, and that is his EE3 carbine rifle, which does fit in his blaster holding hand really nicely. Other than that, we don't get anything else with Zero, which is kind of expected. He really didn't do much on the show. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually take a closer look at Zero. So here we have a closer look at Zero. I know his name is Q9-0, but everybody on the show just called him Zero, so that's what we're going with here. Really interesting take on a protocol droid. I don't think we've seen a protocol droid in Star Wars that didn't look like C-3PO. This is a really nice take on a well-established droid and just making it very different. I really do like the bug eyes that he has on him. He actually looks like a praying mantis, to be quite honest. It looks like his mouth here has some mandibles on it. Then we have the big eyes right there. The only thing he's missing is the two antennae coming out of his head. But overall, really liking the sculpt work on his head. I really do like the interior work right here. Looks like he has a mouth that would move up and down. It would have been nice if in the show that part moved up and down for him to speak, but it still looks really nice. I do like the detailing on it. I love the silver that they went with on his eyes. It looks so nice compared to the dark metal that is the base color. And then we do have a single antenna coming out at the top of his head, which, like I said, it is a very interesting take on a protocol droid, and I am really glad that they introduced this design in the Star Wars universe. Really like the vent work right here on the back of his head. We do have his neck, which is nicely sculpted. Having a look at the front, you can see he does have pouches which look really nice, and I do like the fact that Hasbro went out of their way to paint the pouches. They actually do have some nice paint work on them. As you can see, he does have the stomach of your standard protocol droid, although his torso does look very different from most protocol droids that we've seen. Even though it's very similar, it's still very different. But again, I really do like the take that they went with on this figure, or the overall design. Now, I will say he suffers from Hasbro syndrome when it comes to paint, meaning he has this really nice rust paint scheme going on the front of the figure. We turn it to the back, he's virtually clean. There is no rust anywhere on the back of this figure, and you can see no paint on the back pouches either, which is a little bit of a shame. I would like to see some paint from here applied here as well, because that is a little bit inconsistent. They actually did paint the belt a different color, and then they painted the clasp, but again, no paint work on the back of the figure, which is upsetting to me. They even painted some of the wires on his stomach right there. And you can see they painted one right there. Did they paint any on this side? Doesn't look like, just a blue one. And then on the back we get absolutely no paint. It upsets me because Hasbro doesn't like applying paint to the back of the figures. It does get very upsetting when you try displaying the figure other than a front pose, because all the paint is here, and then they leave the back of the figure unpainted. So having a look at the front of the figure, you can see he does have wires coming out of the arm into his little gauntlet right here, which it also is on this side, although the wires do differentiate themselves really nicely. We have a red and yellow wire on both sides. On his left arm we do have some copper right here, which is a really nice little detail, and that does come over to the side. Don't know if that's just excess or if it's supposed to be like that. On the front we do have that rust color again. Right arm has that rust tone, which looks really nice. I'm actually surprised at how nice that rust color looks. Looking at his crotch piece, you can see it's very different from your standard protocol droid. And then he does have something that I really do like. I know they did this with K9-0, where they use clear pegs for his joints, which is pretty accurate because the way he was designed, that's supposed to be an empty spot and negative space, and they did a really good job making it look like negative space in figure form. Those clear pegs are very interesting, and I do like seeing that. having his legs right here. It's kind of odd not seeing any paintwork on his legs either. It's like they just took all the paint at his torso, then when they got to his waist they're like, nah, it'll be fine. Which is a little bit upsetting because I would like to see more of that rust color throughout the figure, because he actually looks really nice up here. All that rust does bring out a lot of nice detail and gives him character, and then we get to his legs and it's like he takes care of his legs, which doesn't quite make sense. Overall, still a very nice looking figure. The sculpt work on him is impressive, and I do like the fact that even though he's a protocol droid, there's enough separating him from protocol droids like C-3PO, which I really do enjoy that. So really do like the harness, really do like everything about this figure, with the exception of the missing paint on the back of the figure. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have Zero posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Zero posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. And finally, here we do have Zero posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually move on to Zero's articulation. Now, he does have a dumbbell joint at the head, which does let him look up about that far. He can't really look down on that ball joint, but he does get some really nice side-to-side pivot. He does rotate left and right, which works really nicely. Then we do have a second ball joint right here, which does let him look down even further, and then he can look up even more. Tilts his head really nice. I do like that, so really good range of movement there. We do have a butterfly joint in the shoulder, which does pivot forward and back, which is really nice. Now, one issue I have had on mine is that his arm does get stuck when moving it. You can see it does, there's something inside it that it gets stuck while you're rotating the arm, and it is quite annoying. It's on both sides, to be quite honest. Like, I can't move it past a certain point without it snagging on something, and it has to be something on the inside. It's not something that is on the outside of the joint, so yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate. I do like the fact that they did make his shoulder pad the same way they did the Stormtroopers, where it's a rubber overlay inside the shoulder piece that is sandwiched in the shoulder, so it does rotate with the shoulder, or you can rotate the arm independently of that. So that's a really nice piece of engineering. It does go out to the side about that far. You just gotta watch out because the wires do tend to bump up the shoulder pad. No bicep swivel, but we do get an elbow rotation, which does work okay. Just gotta be careful for these wires because they will pull themselves and you don't want to break your figure. He does have a gauntlet swivel right here, or forearm swivel, which works okay. He does have a wrist hinge going in and out on the right, or on the left hand. Does a swivel, up and down hinge on the right hand, so that is pretty good for gun wielding hands. He has a ball joint in the torso, which does let him lean back. Doesn't really lean forward all too much, but he does pivot side to side, as well as rotate really nicely. Legs do kick forward only to about right there before the armor starts butting up against itself. You can rotate the armor out, but it does kick his leg out to the side, which you can fix that with the thigh swivel right here. It goes out to the side, no problem. Then we do have a single bend here at the knee, as well as swivel at the knee, so when you're moving his leg, you can always rotate that out, then rotate the knee like that to give him full 90 degrees. It's a little bit more work than what it really is, but it can still be done, so I do like that. We do have a hinge in the ankle going back and then forward, which is really impressive. I really do like that. And then forward facing pin for rocker ankle. So overall, Zero here is an impressive figure. I do like the detailing on him, and the articulation works despite the fact he really didn't do much. So really like that. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get Zero posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Star Wars Black Series Q9-0 posed for my final thoughts, and overall, Zero here is an impressive looking figure. Now, I do have to fault Hasbro on the paint. I really feel like the paint applications is where this figure should shine, but unfortunately he doesn't, because Hasbro doesn't like painting the back of the figures. I understand that it's a cost saving measure, but in the grand scheme of things, it does make the figures feel a little bit incomplete, seeing as how he only has paint on the front of him, and even that isn't throughout the figure. It's lacking on the head and on the legs, which is a little bit odd, especially when you figure this droid is doing missions where he's getting dirty. I would have liked to see that paint throughout the entire figure, not just on his torso and on his arms. That's a huge missed opportunity by Hasbro to give us a really nice paint job throughout the figure. Overall, he is a little bit light on accessories, but then again, he really didn't use too many weapons in the show other than a different hand, and maybe, I don't know, he only used one gun in this show, and it's reminiscent of Boba Fett's EE3 carbine rifle. So overall, I think what we get here is fair enough. Zero here will run you about $22 at retail, which is what Star Wars Black Series figures are starting to run. Unfortunately, Hasbro did bump up the price from $19 to $22, which is a little bit, I don't want to say it's unfair, but it is a little bit much, seeing as how they really don't come with too much other than their key accessories. We don't get interchangeable hands or interchangeable heads, so the $4 price increase is a little bit too much in my honest opinion. If they threw in a little bit more with these figures, I think it would be justified, but $4 increase, it really doesn't show much, especially because they all get unique sculpts, and that's not really a measure that you can say that that's a reason to bump up the price. Considering that they even did cut back on articulation on newer figures, it's not justifiable by any means for the price increase in my honest opinion. With that being said, guys, if you're a fan of Mandalorian, you're still going to need Zero here in your collection, because he was a main part in Season 1, and then he was a key factor in Season 2. So if you haven't already done so, I really recommend Zero if you're a fan of The Mandalorian. So with that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Star Wars Black Series videos and all my Mandalorian videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll gladly take a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.